Hello, everybody. I am Reginald Bullock, and we're here with Trey, and this is Just Living Life. I hope you've been watching us and looking at some of the other episodes and learning. We have fun doing it, so we're glad that you're here joining us, and we're about to do it again. What's up, Trey?
What's up, Reggie? How's everything with you, man?
All's good in the hood, man.
Hey, I understand that. As always, well, actually, I was about to lie. It's not always good, but at least end of the day, though, I try to at least sleep peacefully, knowing that the day's going at least somewhat productive. There's always a nice little journey, always some progression forward. So, I mean, so then when you say find yourself,
hmm
it's interesting because I feel like we're still seeking to figure out who we are at times, right? Like we talking
hmm
about growing up, 18, I still didn't think I didn't know who I was.
Right.
18, and still in moments, I'm like, I know, but I don't know. So, like, when do you feel like power is obtained? Because it's when you know yourself. And I feel like I had a good idea of myself growing up, but I'm like, nah, maybe not. And I think a lot of people do that time, like, feel that same way. So, when do you feel like power is obtained?
So you always have it with you, right? You're born with it.
Oh,
You just don't know it,
okay.
or you don't know how to use it. You haven't mastered it. You haven't discovered it. There's a lot of things about yourself that you discover over time, but it was already there. You just discover it later or whenever. So to that point, some people may discover their power at 18 or at 28. Some people may be 58 years old and still haven't discovered their power. And
Mm,
so, but it's in you.
right.
It's kind of like that little light in a firefly. It's in it's just in you. Your power is in you. Your neural pathways have the ability to fire off and create different new pathways. And therefore, that right there is from birth. The fact that you start learning how to crawl is creating different neural pathways.
Mm.
The fact that you can speak and say mommy and daddy and hello and put sentences into the spell, you're creating different neural pathways. And those neural pathways is the true source of your power.
So if that's true, then when we're talking about giving up your power, I feel like when we're talking about so like building a foundation versus tearing it down, right? We're always told, it's easy to tear down something, but it's very tough to build up something.
That's why people curse each other out so easily, and all the comedians making so much money is slamming people. But we don't have the same volume of people building people up. Look at all the news. I was looking at CNN and Fox, ABC, NBC today, just trying to see 10 minutes worth of buildup,
Mhm.
something good. What am I listening to that's going to have some sort of value to my life from a positive standpoint? Zero.
It gets tough nowadays.
So you're right. Everybody wants to tear down,
Mhm.
and who's building, right?
Yeah,
Well, a lot of the reason they're not is because they're incapable, in the sense that they have spent so much energy in their entire life tearing stuff down.
mhm.
Their neural pathways, right? Their power to build is weak.
Yeah, it's also kind of boring watch stuff being built up. Like when you watch it from detail to detail, they might view it as boring. You might want to piecemeal it, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that was that. Oh, it's coming up kind of nicely. Like
I don't know.
I think people like seeing
I
that.
think
And
I think Venus and Serena's dad enjoyed watching the building process.
he did because he was invested. Not everyone else is going to be invested, and that's why I was so like going to the power when you're saying it's easy to like you can give it away. I feel like if you're giving something away, it's hard to get it back. But like
What do you
also,
mean giving it?
so like, if I give my power away to like,
Oh,
you know
got
what I'm saying, give my power away to like, for example, drugs. All right, well that is tough. Like that's a hard demon to get over. That's what I've seen that. I'm not a person, but I've seen it. But then also thinking about it from well, if it is within you though, it should be kind of easy. It's almost like you know what I'm saying. It's like a flip of a switch. Like that sounds so casual. Like the click click. You know what I'm saying? Like that's. But I also know it's tough too. Like what's that main? Like why is it? Why does it
All
sound
right.
easy but not?
I know what you're trying to do, and I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
And so here's the deal. Assalamu alaikum barakatuh. Alik barakatah jim ha da. You don't know what I said, right? Or what if I said, bonjour, monsieur, comment allez-vous? Or comment est-ce que? Right? And so the point is, these are just languages.
Mm-hmm.
Every single language out there is spoken by a human being. Mm-hmm. So therefore, it's in us. So if it's in us, then why don't you speak it, Trey?
I think it's learned though.
There you go. There you go.
But
some things have to be trained. Some things have to be brought out.
So you think
you have the capability to do so much. And that's what I said before. You already have it. It just has to be brought out. You have to evolve. You have to learn it. You have to discover it.
Right.
You have the ability to speak 10 languages. Why don't you? Because you just never learned it. You didn't train. Nobody helped you. But yet there are other people 31 years old that can speak 10 languages. What's the difference between you and them?
They like to show off.
Okay. That's one way to tear them down. So what's another way to build them up?
Oh, I was trying to build myself up. I'm not tearing them down. That's
okay. And so you build yourself up because you only speak one language, and you tear them down because they speak 10.
Again, I ain't tearing them down. I'm trying to make sure I don't get slack.
But that's my point, is that there's a lot of things we can learn.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the continent of Russia or China, or whatever, on the globe, it looks like they're bigger than Africa. But the truth of it is, they designed it that way from an image perspective, so that everybody think that Africa's small and the rest of them are big. But the reality, if you actually measured the square footage or mileage from top to bottom, side to side, Africa may be 3 times the size as all of them. And therefore, every picture we've seen is incorrect. So now, what if you were trained wrong? So you could have power, and you were taught to use that power inappropriate. Did you give it away?
Not necessarily, because if you were, I guess, you were misled with information, then
and that happens all the time.
Yeah. We talked about hobbies. I think that kind of also brought us into how are we living too, because it told us about what we like to do. Then let's see here. We talked about power, but before we talked about that, well, I mean, what else?
Change.
I don't know about that. You sure we changed? We talked about change?
Yeah, you talked about change. He talked about change.
Maybe I forget. My bad. I'm getting old nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. No, we talked about that. But yeah, so now we talked about change, and then we ended off with power. I think that was a good little segment, though.
Yeah.
And again, if y'all haven't been watching, all these episodes do kind of build on top of one another, because we talked about building and expanding foundation. We didn't talk about intelligence and hustle. Oh, we talked about hustle, not intelligence.
But we talked about intelligence and hustle in a different episode.
Oh yeah, I just meant on this episode. We didn't like everything builds and expands upon one another. We're not talking about all the episodes,
right?
But we will reference other ones. So I hope y'all are enjoying that. Even Reggie said something about cutting grass, and you saw my reaction is still
yard work. You're gonna do one day. You're gonna change. You're gonna do
I'm gonna adapt. I'm gonna adapt, though. There's one change. I promise. There's one thing I would keep from youth to adulthood is I don't like yard work. I don't. But I mean,
there's always tomorrow.
But not do yard work. But I think that's the perfect time, though, to end the segment. We can skip flowers today because you were talking about yard work too much. That's too close to yard work. I don't like flowers enough that much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a good one. But please, before you do that, hit that like button, subscribe. Tell anybody who's anyone about the show. If you want to leave a comment or two, we appreciate that. My name is Trey. This is Reggie. And you listen to Just Living Life. So I hope you all have a good one. Take care.
All right.